Okay, we're going to have some interviews here with some different folks, and today we're talking with Jeff Slaughter. We have known Jeff for a long time. What year did we meet, Jeff? What year did you move to Jackson?
Well, we moved to Jackson, Mississippi when you guys were there in 1989. So I guess we've known each other for 30 years, 31.
Wow. Wow.
We've grown old together.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah,
You and Kathy have grown old together.
yeah, me more than her.
At any rate, um, Jeff is a good friend, a missionary that we have supported for many years through streams, and we're really thankful for what they do in Europe. And I just want to, we have talked about these folks for years, and I want to make it so that you can actually see them and hear some of what they're doing. Jeff, where are you from originally?
Originally, I am from Shreveport, Louisiana, and right now I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh,
I've come full circle for the moment.
all right. Now your mother is there, isn't she?
Yeah, both of our moms are here.
Oh, wow.
My parents are from this area, and Kathy's parents moved here when she was about 13.
Okay.
So we're kind of Shreveport natives, pretty much.
I have a sister who lived in Caddo Heights area for years. You know where that is?
I know where that is.
Down Juella, down past
Down,
the glass factory.
yes, my grandfather worked at the glass factory.
Oh, wow.
He sure did.
Well,
Yeah, he did.
they built a house down there. It was a new neighborhood going in.
Wow,
So that was a
that's a
long
long
time
time
ago.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, listen, why don't you tell people just some of your spiritual background? Where are you from
Okay.
spiritually? When did you get saved? And tell them about your walk with the Lord.
Okay. Well, I was blessed to grow up in a Christian home. My both my parents were Christians, and they actually met in church. My dad
They
walked
met
into a
it. They met in church.
They met at a church called Lakeview Baptist Church.
Okay.
My dad was visiting some relatives up in Shreveport. He's from the country, a couple hours south, and he walked in and saw my mother in the choir loft and decided that day he was going to marry her. Or so
Okay.
that's the story he told her.
Okay.
A couple of years later, they were married. We were raised in a Christian home. I accepted the Lord when I was about 7. It was very natural progression. I was at Vacation Bible School in the summer, and the pastor told us that we were getting old enough to begin to think about giving our lives to the Lord, and that was just a natural progression for me. And so I accepted Jesus, was baptized, and just began to walk out my faith. As we did back in those days, going to Sunday school and you know. And then church 3 times a week, basically Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was part of our life, part of our culture. And I really didn't know anything else. I joined, with children's choirs and different things when I was a child, and was always captivated by music. Somehow when someone, sang, or we had music in the church, special music, it always spoke deeply to me. And called to me, and not long after I actually probably about the same time I began taking piano lessons. Um, I had seen a little boy play piano and thought, well, I'd like to learn how to do that, and started taking lessons at the age of 7.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved out to what I call the country. We were in the city. We moved out to the country because my dad wanted to raise cows and horses and do that as a hobby. And we started going to a little Baptist church, and 2 weeks after we got there, they asked me to start playing piano there.
How old
The
were you?
pianist, I was 13.
Okay.
The pianist had died just before we got there.
Oh.
It was a little old lady who had passed away, and they had asked another lady in the church to volunteer to play the piano, and it drove her nuts. She was as scared as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, and so when she heard I could play, she got me up there quick. Now I only knew 2 hymns, and so we wore those 2 hymns out real quick. But I learned some others quickly. But whoever was leading music, I don't remember who it was. They knew so little about music that I had to explain to them. You can choose hymns in the hymn book for me to learn that have 2 tic-tac-toes and one B. Two Bs. I think I was up to two Bs at that point. I didn't know anything about key signatures, and so we had to deal with tic-tac-toes and Bs.
Okay, that's funny.
So I would have time to learn put some new things in my repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
So so I grew up out there in the country, small Baptist church, had a very tight youth group, a wonderful experience. Then went on to college, East Texas Baptist College. And just as we do, just begin to walk my faith out and begin to take it as my own as I left home, begin to understand what it meant to be a believer outside your own home and for it to have to mean something to you outside of your family, your parents, and your upbringing.
What did your relationship with Christ mean to you when you were in, say, junior high and high school?
A relationship to the Lord?
Christ, yeah.
Well, it was a source of strength. That was kind of a hard time for me. And, just for a lot of different reasons. There was a lot of stuff going on just growing up and dealing with change and friends and moving and things like that. It was kind of tough. But what really kept me from going, straying away from it was the church, was the friends that I had in youth group. We had like I said, we had a very tight youth group, and that just helped give me a safe place to go, on the weekends and even weekday afternoons. And so I think that, I'm really a strong believer in the church and the body of Christ and keeping those, relationships around that help keep us strong in the faith and encourage us.
Are you still in touch with any of the youth or maybe your youth director?
Well, our youth, the youth, we actually have a Facebook group page, and we've had two or three reunions. In fact, we were going to have one last Saturday that we had to cancel because of the lockdown.
Oh, wow.
So there's probably about 20 or 30 of us that are in touch. Most of us still live in this area. We don't get together frequently, but we're in touch, and we do have these reunions, and that's kind of a neat thing that we have this group of people that moment in time that we can kind of go back to and share memories and relive experiences and just kind of have walked with each other all these years.
That's really cool. What did your faith mean to you during your college years? A lot of young people, that's when they, kind of have major difficulties.
Right. Well, I went to a Baptist college not far from here in Marshall, Texas.
Okay.
And of course, just because you go to a Christian school doesn't mean you're going to keep your faith.
What?
A lot of people don't.
No.
I did. I got involved with a singing group called Reflection and sang with them 1 year, and then became director for a year. Sang in the choir, served with the BSU, just did the Baptist Student Union, was editor of the newspaper, and then I maintained my relationship with my church out in the country. I would come back and forth on weekends, continue to play for a while, and then things changed. But it really didn't change during college. It just it was the kind of college that provided a lot of spiritual opportunities for growth, and we had chapel and different things like that, and God was the subject of a lot of conversations, and we even had to take Old Testament, New Testament subjects or classes within our curriculum. So it was very much a part of my life continuing through college.
Cool. When did you and Kathy meet?
Kathy and I met in 1985. I was going to an Amy Grant concert in Dallas with a friend, and he invited a friend of his who invited a friend of hers, and that friend was Kathy. And so we met, on the way to Dallas, and got to know each other, and came home. And about a month later, I called her and asked her if she'd like to go out. Took me a month to work up the courage, and she said yes, and we got married a year later. So it was a. So
were you already out of college by then?
I was. I graduated in college from '83. I took a year off of college to travel with a group based in Colorado Springs called Friendship Ministries.
Okay.
and I was part of a tour, and we traveled all over the U.S. And so that's why I didn't graduate until 1983 when I was 23 years old, and so then I met Kathy in '85. So yeah, I was a couple years out of college. I had been doing several things. I had a degree in public relations and business. I was doing a lot of freelance writing, teaching piano, playing piano for church, and various things. I kind of like to have I kind of like to have a lot of things that I do. And so I started that early on, and that's what I was doing when we met.
Okay, now they came to you and asked you to play the piano at the church.
Yeah.
The scared lady did.
Yeah.
Did they come to you and ask you to be the director of the group in college? Or
yeah, they did.
Okay.
After the first year that I was there, yeah.
Okay, and how about the group in Colorado? Did you go looking for them, or did they come looking for you?
No, I went looking for them. That was kind of an audition type thing. I'd heard about the ministry, so I went looking for them.
Okay, but those early ones, they came looking for you because of gifting that they saw on you.
Yeah, because I tell people this when I encourage, young people I meet in church, on worship teams and things. I say, you never know where God's going to lead you and where your gift is going to take you. Your responsibility is to develop it.
Okay.
God gives you this desire when you're at some age to want to learn and to grow and be proficient in something. And that's placed within you, and it wakes up at some point when you're exposed to something that God's called you to, and you've developed an interest in it. And at that point, you need to get on with it, start taking lessons and developing that gift. It will bring you much personal fulfillment because that's what God's called you to do, but it also will help define your place in the kingdom and possibly even your livelihood.
Wow. What would you tell people who have not accepted Christ who might be listening to this?
Well, I would say that Jesus brings us the peace that passes all understanding. He is always there for us. I remember one time that I had this deep impression when I was trying to make a decision to leave my job in Shreveport and move to Jackson, Mississippi. That was a big step for us.
Okay.
We just had a baby. She was a year old. We had just bought a house a couple of months earlier.
Wow. And
I had been offered a really good job at a really neat hospital in Jackson, Mississippi. And I just felt like the Lord said, I will never leave you or forsake you. And that was a great comfort for me because I was taking a step into the unknown, which led me down a path that I never would have predicted, which we can talk about later. And so for me, God is a great source of comfort, and he's always there. I can always talk to him. And I feel like that, he wants us to have a relationship with him. And when he created Adam and Eve in the garden, that's why he created them, so that he could have a relationship with them. And they kind of messed that up, and we kind of messed that up.
Yep.
And we have to get our way back to him through the sacrifice that Jesus made. But once we do that, the door is wide open for us to have a relationship with him. And to me, there's no better way to live. Cool.
Well, good. Hey, thanks, man. We're going to end this one, and we'll come back with some more, the next stage of the Jeff Slaughter story.
All right.
Thanks, man.